For 23 years, the rock band calling itself Fleetwood Mac has gone its own way, somehow weathering numerous personnel changes, drugs, divorces, even bankruptcy, to continue making what's always mattered most, the music. And now Mick Fleetwood, the band's drummer and co-founder, has chronicled the group's ups and downs as co-author of this new book, Fleetwood, My Life and Adventures in Fleetwood Mac. It's nice to have you here, and you do go through all the ups and the downs. I'll start with one of the downs right off the bat. I mean, I hear, or at least I read the reports that Christine McVie and Stevie Nicks are going to be leaving the band. I know Stevie was upset because I think it was the first time you ever really revealed that the two of you had an affair.
That's not the reason they're leaving. What is happening is they're going to not be touring with Fleetwood Mac for two separate reasons. One, Christine is really feeling that she just wants to spend more time at home, because you have to realize we spent a year in the studio, just about finished a tour that is the better part of a year, and they just felt they needed to calm it down a bit. Stevie, as you know, has a very successful career of her own.
Solo career, sure.
And just feels that she can't do both, but they are intending at the moment to record with the band, and the band is not breaking up.
Okay, because that was the big story.
No.
I mean, everybody said, you got to ask them. I mean, can the band continue without them, really? I mean, you're going to, would you replace them with other females?
At some point in the future, which is sort of undetermined at the moment, I'm sure the four guys in the band that remain after the next album, we'll rethink it. You know, there's some rethinking all around to do, but it's sort of part of Fleetwood Mac's destiny, one might say, to go through these things.
It is amazing that with everything that has gone on, and with, you know, marrying each other in the group and divorcing, and yet still not only just going out there on the stage and playing together, but at the top of the success of the band, I mean, producing some of its best work. If you had to put your finger on what or who enabled that band to continue playing like that, could you do it?
I think a lot of it comes from myself and John McVie and Christine to a large extent going way back, and it's not for one moment to suggest Stevie hasn't been with the band a long time, nearly 15 years now, is that the rhythm section, John and myself, have always been there through the thick and the thin and the bad and the good and whatever else. And I think that really has been a catalyst that has enabled the front line and the changes in the front line to rest easy, as it were, to have something to go from. I think that's helped. And we've, as a band, I used to manage Fleetwood Mac for about 8 years. And I think, in many ways, that in itself was a help, you know, and it was also hard work, you know, doing it, but
it's quite a feat, just
we
the fact that
way through.
Yes, that you've all stayed together.
Along.
Any truth to the reports that Stevie's going to sue you?
No.
Or is that just
at one point, she was upset. That's hence the reason that's not why she's leaving the band in terms of touring.
Yeah.
It's no truth at all, but she was upset because I wouldn't let her read the book before it came out. She's now read it and she loves it. I just wanted to make it very personal to me while I was doing it, because I realized it'd be opening up a can of beans if everyone wanted to say what they felt should go in it or not go in it. So I just said an arbitrary no. And when the book was sort of about to come out, she suddenly dawned on everyone, and especially Stevie, that what have you got in it? I said, well, I have related about our relationship, and she got a little furious at that particular point, but she's very calm now.
Well, I don't think there was much you left out, actually. It really is a history of like, rock and roll, everything that was happening around the band over all these years. Well, I say good luck to you to keep the band together, after this tour. And in the meantime, the book by Fleetwood Mac. Nice to see you.
You too.
Good Morning America continues right after this.
Of Bob.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll was too potent a mix for one of pop music's biggest groups. Fleetwood Mac soared to stardom before it became a victim of its own excesses. Mick Fleetwood lived those turbulent days, and now he tells all on our Inside Story.
It was a real roller coaster where we were fairly heavily involved in the use of cocaine. What we wanted, we got. And to some extent, I suppose, looking back on it, it was full rock brat time.
They may have been full rock brats, but at the height of their success, they produced some of the most popular music of the last 2 decades. There have been #1 albums and chart-topping hits like Dreams, Don't Stop, Rhiannon, Hold Me, and You Can Go Your Own Way. During its 23-year history, Fleetwood Mac has definitely gone its own way. Since 1967, there have been 11 different lineups and 13 different musicians. In his new book, drummer Mick Fleetwood pulls no punches about those who were left behind, including the founder of the band who burned out in the aftermath of LSD abuse.
It is sad, and Peter Green, who formed Fleetwood Mac, is not the same person that I once knew.
Another young guitar player, Danny Kerwin, was fired because of emotional problems.
I presume his mother gets his royalties, but he's basically, quite frankly, a street bum.
And yet another guitarist, Jeremy Spencer, went for a walk one day and joined a religious cult.
He, at least, is a functioning person.
But the band played on. In 1975, 2 young American musicians signed on, Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks. It was this group that made the most successful music of all the Fleetwood Mac incarnations, and it was this group that became the most controversial. In his book, Fleetwood confirms that a basic ingredient of the band's life was a mountain of white powder, cocaine.
Yes, all that and above was going on, but we never lost what I consider total control over what we were doing. When you get out of a situation like that, which we have, as people, if you like, grown out of, you then say, I was bloody lucky, you know, because there are a lot of casualties that we all know about that remain nameless. There's no point in running off, some dead and some just not there anymore, you know, not who's there, no one.
When the band posed for this cover of Rolling Stone magazine in 1977, the use of the bed was more than just a visual joke. 2 married members of the band were getting divorced, and Buckingham and Nicks were breaking up. In his book, Fleetwood reveals that he and Nicks then became involved. Stevie
and I were very much in love at one point. We had a love affair, if you like, yes. We were in love.
And the beat goes on. Buckingham quit the band in 1987 and was replaced with 2 guitar players. Nicks and keyboard player Christine McVie say the current Fleetwood Mac tour is their last. Can the band that has survived cocaine, sexual intrigue, and constant defections play on?
I think it's too early to ever count Fleetwood Mac out. You know, they've been written off a lot of times over the course of their history, and every time they've managed to come back with something different. You can go your own way.
Fleetwood, My Life and Adventures with Fleetwood Mac will be officially released on October 17th to coincide with the start of the group's U.S. tour.